A very good morning to all of you children. How are you? At the onset, Ramadan Kareem to each one of you and to your family members. Kindly convey my regards to everyone at home. May the Almighty bless all of us. Ramadan Kareem once again. Let's start with our topic of weathering. We finished with the 3 types of rocks last week, and by this week we would be winding up our syllabus. So weathering means when rocks get worn away. Worn away means they are eaten up, or they become disformed or discolored, or maybe it could mean change in different ways. So that's what we are going to study. Now, if you can see the picture in your textbook, page 114, you can see a carved stone face that's about 500 years old on top right hand side. And you can also see on page 115 the carving on Sphinx. This is on your textbook. Now, I've given here a different picture. So this is of Monument Valley in Utah, and there are several weathering processes. Okay, weathering, as I said, is wearing off. So it could be happening by physical means, by chemical means, or by biological means, as we will study in this lesson. So these weathering processes are contributed to the development of these remarkable rock formations, okay, because of weathering. Now, if we look into a little more depth of the rock cycle, okay, now first look into this diagram very clearly. What we have finished is the igneous rocks. Now, there are 2 types of igneous rocks. We haven't really gone into the details of them. But in these 2 types of igneous rocks, we have the extrusive and the intrusive. Extrusive, something that is outside, and intrusive is something that is formed inside. Okay. Then you also have the gases and all this coming out, and you have the hot molten material, that is the lava. Okay. Now, so the hot magma, which is found deep inside our earth, it crystallizes and you have the formation of igneous rocks. Now, these are the 2 different types of igneous rocks. The igneous rocks, can you see the arrow? The igneous rocks can undergo metamorphism to form metamorphic rocks. And then the metamorphic rocks also sometimes, if it is present inside the earth, then it can melt to again form the magma. So it can have 2 opposite processes. One, that is melting, where the metamorphic rocks are changing to magma, or sometimes the magma which gets crystallized to form the igneous rocks. Okay. So from the igneous rocks, then you have the weathering. Okay. Weathering, obviously it would happen for the extrusive rocks. Why extrusive rocks? Because the intrusive rocks are all inside. So extrusive rocks are the ones which can be seen. So it can be weathered away or worn away by physical methods or chemical, and then it is transported and it is deposited. So weathering, it gives rise to small pieces of rocks that will be moved depending upon the sizes, and then it is deposited in the form of sediments. Because of these sediments, what are being formed? Sedimentary rocks. So sedimentary rocks also can be exposed to weathering. Now this whole thing is part of the rock cycle. Okay. So how would you define weathering? Weathering it includes different processes that decompose rocks. Decompose here doesn't really mean the way how we think that vegetables are decomposed, or fish, or non-vegetarian matter, that is meat, and all are decomposed. But here it is break down and converts them into what? Loose gravel or sand, clay and soil. Gravel is some small stones. So there are 3 primary types. One is physical, second is chemical, and the third is biological. You can see these different pictures which are very clearly as a result of weathering. Now, here one important way of physical weathering is that, there are some spaces in the rocks. All the rocks are not non-porous. So, in between the spaces, especially in very cold areas, what happens? The temperature there is very low. So, the water inside, it becomes ice. And as you know, when water when water freezes to form ice, it increases. Yes, because of this increase and the melting continuously, it results in expansion of these rocks and it results in fractures. When we break a bone, we get a fracture. And so what do we need here? We need the continuous water supply. So it can happen only in places or in mountains which are exposed to very low temperatures, and they also have a continuous flow of water. Okay, this is freeze thaw or weathering. It's a physical process, weathering by freeze thaw. Now, mechanical is also the other word for that is physical. So, mechanical and chemical weathering, what will it result in? It will result in fracturing, and the fracturing means there is more surface area that gets exposed. What happens? There is more surface area that gets exposed, and this more surface area obviously will give more chemicals to react on. Now, what's the second type of weathering is chemical weathering. Although they have given here in your book, chemical weathering is the first type. Now, the first type what we have done is physical weathering, but you can put it here as number 1 as chemical, 2 as physical, and 3 as biotic. So, look in chemical weathering, there's an example of limestone here is made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, when acid reacts with it, carbon dioxide gas, water, and salt are produced. I'll show you the slide just after this. The carbon dioxide, what happens? It goes into the air, and the other products are washed away by the rain. Okay, now when it comes to chemical weathering, so the chemical weathering, you have transformation of one mineral into another by chemical processes. Now, what are I've just given here a little more in detail. Just check out the different types of chemical reactions would be hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is splitting due to water. Lysis means split and hydro is water. So, just add water and whatever chemical reaction happens because of the minerals there would be, responsible. Then you have oxidation. Oxidation is also called rusting. And then the second one is dissolving or simple dissolution. Now, hydrolysis is when water reacts with a mineral to form a new mineral with water as part of its crystal structure. Here you can just give an example. This is extra for your information. Feldspar. Feldspar changes to clay. Okay, this is most abundant mineral, and that is why I have given you this example. Now, oxidation is very simple. Anything that reacts with oxygen will be responsible for oxidation. Now, this is something which is being looked into. The Mars rusty surface, they are saying it could be some minerals that are present, and this is how a rusted metal would always look like. Okay, this is oxidation. Now, I just wonder, have any of y'all been to Goethe Caves near Nizwa? It's a wonderful, wonderful site. There are many things there which as every resident, and I'm sure all of you must go and visit. I visited it and it's amazing. You have the stalactites and stalagmites. So this picture I've just given you for reference because it is related to Oman here. Now, the biological weathering, or the third one, is when living organisms, they cause the rocks to break apart. So, this is known as biotic weathering. And what happens? The plants grow in the cracks in the rocks that cause cracks and damage to the rocks. Okay, very simple. It's because of the growth of plants. Now, as a result of weathering, what is happening? You have the production of soil. What do you have? The production of soil. And what is soil actually made up of? It's made up of air, it has water, the mineral particles which forms the bulk, and it also has roots and organisms and organic matter. Now it's very important. What is the climate that is important for soil formation? See, physical weathering, where does it happen? Physical weathering happens in regions of low temperature and low rainfall. Okay, so you can expect a lot of physical weathering happening in arid regions in the desert. Chemical weathering, where does it happen? See, the conditions are completely opposite. Chemical weathering will happen in regions of high temperature and high rainfall. These are the tropical rainforests. You can't expect a chemical weathering to happen too much here in Oman because the conditions are not really, there is high temperature but there is no high rainfall. Now another word that is related to weathering is erosion. So when all this material is weathered, whether it is weathered by physical method or chemical method or the biotic method, all of this, it breaks down into smaller pieces. So it has to flow off somewhere. Now this removal of the weathered particles, now how does it happen? The removal happens by water or by wind or ice or by gravity. Okay, so that concept is known as erosion. Now, for your homework, it's very simple. What is weathering? You've just got to write the definition of weathering. What is chemical weathering? Again, the definition is very clear there. Give an example of how chemical weathering is caused. Okay, you can give the example of limestone there. And question number 4, 5 and 6. Please write down all these questions in your notebook with the date and the question number. You can also add a sticky note and put it in your textbook. Thank you. Have a great day and please send me your work. Stay blessed.